Something that is bringing you joy lately. It could be professionally, it could be personally. What's bringing you joy lately? Fall weather, same, same. I feel so glad to need a jacket. Ah, your daughter. Thank you, Professor Azebo. Oh, Professor Butler celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday to you. Grandchildren. Yes. How many, Professor Steele? Because you use EN. Children, plural. That means multiple. Two girls. Okay. Wonderful. And ages? How old is your daughter, Professor Azebo?
She's 18. She's going to college. Yes, yes. That's
Wow.
my that's my last born. That's my heart. Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. And 8 and 11. Oh, you having a good time, Professor Steele. That's great. Catching up with old friends, Professor Monet. That sounds lovely. Well, good. It is wonderful to see such a great turnout. Getting over allergies. I'm glad. I'm glad you're feeling better. We were in a meeting earlier this week, Professor Temi Tope, and he was really struggling. Allergies have got a couple people slammed right about now in this season. Well, we have our chief academic officer all logged on, and she's going to bring some greetings to us. Oh my goodness, witnessing the inauguration of my alma mater's first female president. Congratulations, that's wonderful. What institution?
Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama.
Oakwood. We know Oakwood. Oakwood.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Thrilled.
Oakwood doing good. That's all right. That's wonderful. Well, Dr. Massey, I had asked the faculty what was bringing them joy, and this is good news. So if everybody could mute themselves, we're going to hear from our Chief Academic Officer, April Massey. And I just want to say thank you to this group while she's able to witness it, to Dr. Massey. When I presented this idea to her, she supported me unabashedly and has really helped me to really just been supportive of my vision for faculty affairs. And I feel like she's given me a lot of wind and energy to do this work with you all. And I feel really grateful for her supportive leadership. And I'm glad that she's here with us today. So thank you, Dr. Massey. And I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. So I am not at my own computer because I can't get on the UDC Wi-Fi. And so I am at Kamel's desk, and so I hope that this comes across okay. Uh, I want to start by doing the warm-up activity. What brings me joy is a full room of faculty members who are engaged and excited and who are really taking advantage of the opportunity to create real partnership with the university to further the exciting things that you're doing. And so that's what brings me joy. And so in this moment, I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited for a couple of reasons for that reason, but I'm also excited because across the last couple of weeks, and Dr. Johnson knows this well, because she's been in nearly every one of these meetings, is that we have been working tirelessly to close out the compensation um, article on the ninth master, and that's getting money in your paychecks and really changing the levels of competitiveness of our pay structures for faculty. And so we have finalized all of the pay computations for each individual faculty member. There were, I think, we're 198 members of the bargaining unit who are eligible to have some level of increase. And so we worked across the weekend, worked across this week. And so we've been working with HR. They're going to be issuing letters to all faculty members who are in that 198 in talking about the ways that your paychecks will be changing and generally a timeline around that. Don't want to create any hard and fast timelines because what we don't want to do is to create disappointment around any missed timelines. But for me, in the last 30, 60, 90 days, and on trying to think of which day the consultant actually sent me the finished tables, I teared up. And I teared up because it cannot be underestimated what it feels like to be undervalued by the way your institution compensates you. You can't, you can't. And so to see, we have a range of increases. So for the newest faculty members, their rates of increase hover somewhere between 2 and 7%. But for faculty members who have been on the ground at UDC for some time, their increases, the highest percentage of increase that we see is 53%. So we have a faculty member whose salary is going to increase in one fell swoop by 53%. That is life-changing. There's no other way to discuss it. That is life-changing. That means that we have a person who has been in this city, in this area, and has not been able to take advantage of the things that an amenity-rich city has to offer. But this is a game changer. And so I am hopeful that when you see your pay calculations, that you have the same level of joy that I'm feeling. We go into the 10th master soon, and so I know that compensation comes back to the table. But this is a game changer for the institution in terms of creating an environment of satisfaction around the ways that faculty members are compensated and the ways that creates for you the space to do other things and to also feel like you have incentive to remain at the institution and continue the hard work that you've been doing. And so I know that this forum is for other things, but I think that that's top of mind for me. And I know that it's top of mind for each of you. And so it's important for me to share that we made some real progress with the ninth master compensation article. And I am hopeful that you will see that and that you will be pleased with the ways that you will see your compensation changed. So, Dr. Johnson, I want to thank you for the ways that you have chosen to show up on our campus. We were just talking about that December marks 1 year anniversary for her. So we're trying to plan out how she's going to celebrate that with you. But she hit the ground running. She continues to run. Her energy around the work is just, you can't contain it. Her ideas, she has lots of ideas, but she also has lots of commitment to seeing those ideas through to fruition. And so the work that she has started major in under a year, that she has been able to accomplish what she has, and that she has created opportunities that you feel commitment to. And so you want to be engaged. So her faculty council and other things are off the ground, running at full speed and smoothly because she did the work of creating community with faculty members, with you, and listening to the things that you say that you must have to feel satisfied and successful on this campus. So I want to say thank you to all of you, and I'm going to jump out of your space, but I just appreciate the opportunity to say hey.
Thank you so much, Dr.
So can I respond to him? So what you're not going to get is this year, you won't get a revised letter. What we want to do immediately is give you a letter indicating how your pay will change. Once we do all of the calculation, all of the processing of the individuals for the payment changes, then we'll have conversation with HR and your union representation about how that needs to be represented on the letter of contract that you have standing with us. And so we haven't gotten to that place yet. In the immediate, we want you to get a notice of what your change in salary will be. And then we want you to be able to see that. You're going to get three things. The first thing you're going to get is a letter from HR indicating what the calculations look like and how that impacts the bottom line for each of you individually. You will then individually receive notice of what your retro payments are going to be when you'll receive a retro payment. Because remember, the contract was to have been effective 10/1/24. The signature process didn't happen in that time frame, and so we are looking at a 10/1/25 date for enacting all of the pieces. So the period between 10/1/24 and 9/30/25 is a retro pay period. And so you'll get retro payment for that period. And then you will see that your paycheck going forward will be reflective of the new salary, and your pay will be changed to reflect that. And then we'll make some decisions with HR and with your union representation about how we address the letters of appointment that you received in May. Okay,
Thank you, Dr. Massey.
thank you all. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I agree. It is affirming to hear that expression of, sorry, my lights are going off in my office. I'm in building 71. I know some of you feel my pain on that, where you're sitting still and all of a sudden the lights go out on you. But yes, hearing that expression of value and worth is very affirming. Well, I am going to begin with our presentation for today. And let me do my screen share. All right, today we're talking about academic policies, calendars, and compliance. And as I said, we're going to have a presentation a little bit later from Dr. Malva Reid. And we had our introduction already from our Chief Academic Officer, Dr. April Massey. And I can't see folks, but if you are new, if you did not attend Module 1, if you could just drop a hello in the chat and tell us your name, division, and what year you are at UDC. So this group is for folks who were hired in 2023, 24, or 25. Okay. So for our new folks, and just a brief reminder that this is again for our new-ish, to go with the Blackish terminology, new-ish faculty, for you all to get acclimated to your roles as faculty, your responsibilities, your rights, to help you stay on track with your progression toward tenure and promotion, to make sure that you know about all of the policies and procedures at the institution, a la today, to ensure that you know how to best support students and the resources available to them, a la our presentation for Module 3 happening in February, and understanding just the mission of our institution at large, which will be our last session at the end of the academic year. So 2 are in person, 2 virtual. We had our first one August 28th, and of course today, and we'll have 2 more left. So focusing on the calendar pieces for today, if you attended new employee orientation, for those who were hired in 2025, I talked about the importance of attending these high-level events at the institution. Now, this may not be around policy and procedure at large, but I think it is really important in terms of professional development, which is outlined in the Ninth Master Agreement, that it's mandatory for the Chief Academic Officer to offer professional development at the start of every semester. And it is expected that faculty attend that professional development. This is really important in understanding and setting the tone for the institution for the semester. And it's an opportunity for faculty to know what is of most importance for that particular semester. It is an opportunity for you to see your deans, your directors and chairs, because they too are expected to be there. It is a way for you to get explicit professional development. Attending opening convocation, Founders Day, honors ceremony, and some people are invited to honorands, and I should have put that as by invitation only there. And then commencement is incredibly important for faculty to attend. It is your responsibility to set that time aside now. And our students work very, very hard, and their families come to, and loved ones come to see them walk across that stage, to move across that stage. And we should be there to support them as well. And then we host a faculty honors reception. There are awards there. Faculty have an opportunity to nominate and vote for their peers, and where we on this night uplift them, and there's food. Our president is present for that. And again, this is a place where you should make time to come if you can. I have that less bolded in red because it is not mandatory, but you should set time aside to attend if you can. So where the academic calendar and policy intersect, you have been receiving a couple of emails, and I was pleased to see some of our colleagues asking questions where you had them of our registrar and our ACAO for the student experience, Dr. Maisha Carter. I saw some of you getting in there like, wait a minute, I'm confused about X. Ask those questions. That's wonderful. I think where academic calendar and policy intersect are timeliness of submission of attendance verification, midterm grades, and final grades. And Dr. Reid is going to talk a bit about that today. We have some resources to help you do these things, make them easier for you, and ensure your compliance. Our colleagues at the Center for the Advancement of Learning, CAL, if you were at new employee orientation, for those of you who are in the incoming class of 2025 as faculty, they did an overview of the types of resources that they offer. I think one of the easiest ways to do this is to do a grade book in Blackboard. And I'm going to stop sharing for a second just to engage you a bit. And if you're in a place where you can turn your camera on, please do so. And if not, don't worry, that's fine. But how many of you use your grade book in Blackboard? You can use your virtual hand, or you can stick up your hand. That's great. That's great. And do you find that your students look at their grades regularly in Blackboard? Blackboard. Yeah. Dr. Butler said no. Yes, Patrick, yes. Okay, for those of you whose students do look at their grades in Blackboard, what do you find there? What is that experience like for the students who you regularly put your grades in Blackboard, and your students regularly are looking at them in Blackboard? Talk to me about what that's like.
I don't know if I can
What do you
speak.
notice? Please, yeah, jump in.
Yeah.
Feel free to use your actual hand or your physical hand. I noticed that in Teams, they now create a queue. I was like, all right, teams, and it like numbers them. I'm like, I need Zoom to get on board because the numbering is great if you're hosting. So go ahead, Dr. Ha.
So what from for my courses, they're very I teach anatomy, physiology, and microbiology. It's very didactic, it's very exam focused. And what that allows for, if at the beginning of my semester, I'm very clear of how you get your grade, how you get your numbers, what counts towards your grade. And if it's clearly placed there and it's frequently uploaded onto Blackboard, it allows for kind of non-contesting. It means that there's always like one clear platform that we all agree on. And so there's no, uh, is this actually my grade? Is this not actually my grade? I thought this counted. What am I on? If I clearly stated how you get your grade and you can check it very clearly, a lot of the stuff gets updated either automatically or very quickly. And so it's a good point. It doesn't stop people asking about their grade necessarily, but it provides kind of a central truth to it that if you ask, it's easy to direct it to confirm.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ha. Anyone else want to share about their experience with consistently using Blackboard to post grades and their students' access to that?
In one of my courses, I find that I need to let students know that material has been scored and that there's feedback that I want them to review and ask me questions about. So that happens for us in one of my online courses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Yeah, I want to underscore that this is really important for there's an expectation that our students all get a U or an S at midterm, right? And so there's that compliance with the expectation for you as a faculty member. But the other piece of that is the good pedagogy of our students knowing where they stand consistently, right? And being able to have that regular access to their grades in your courses, knowing where they stand supports student success. Now, I won't go off on that tangent too deeply until our next module, but I did want to check in with you all and make that link. So Cal has created some really great resources, and you can access them through this link. Once this deck will be made available to you, and of course, we're recording this session. But I've screenshot all of what is listed on this link. So when you click on this live link here, you'll be connected to gradebook resources. And these are all videos. So there's not just a description of what to do, but there's live action of how to set up your grade book if you don't have one set up already, and then how to submit those grades. You can also reach out to anyone in Cal, and they have several folks who work specifically on Blackboard. And you can see when you click on these videos who has recorded the videos. Julian is the point person mostly for Blackboard, Julian King. And he has recorded a lot of these videos. I went through and watched them, and they are very helpful if you don't already know how to do that. I want to move now to talking a bit about FERPA. And let me stop sharing again. I wish you could toggle back and forth between being able to see. Well, actually, I'll do it this way. So I'm not going to stop sharing. How many of you feel very comfortable with your understanding of FERPA? If I could get a hands up, like, yep, I'm great, I'm good. It's totally squared away. You can put up your digital hand or your actual hand, whichever you prefer. You feel real good about your understanding of FERPA. All right, I'm seeing 1, 2, 3. I'm not seeing a lot of hands. Okay. All right, well, then this is good to include. I have, and it will be live after today's session. I've created a one-pager similar to last session's one-pager on the evaluation criteria and then the one on tenure and promotion criteria. I've created a one-pager on FERPA, and I will also have a link to a training that you can take on your own to quiz yourself. And then there'll also be a couple of quiz questions on FERPA that you can kind of start to get this in your system, flowing through your veins, so to speak. All right. So I actually have a lot of familiarity with FERPA, as I shared with you all at our first meeting, that I am a psychologist by training. So protection of privacy is sort of my jam. And FERPA is mostly about protecting privacy. Okay. And so it is protecting student privacy in higher education. So it's a federal law that protects student education records in particular. So students have access to their records. They can request their records from the registrar's office. They can request their grades, of course. They need consent. You need consent before you disclose anything of a personal nature to anyone beyond a student. Okay. And so education records are anything directly related to a student and maintained by the university. So that's grades, transcripts, advising notes, disciplinary records, etc. Let me minimize you all for a sec. Again, you cannot share a student's grades, GPA, their class performance, disciplinary actions, etc., without consent. Now, it's really important to think about this explicitly because we sometimes have conversations about our students in ways that are inelegant. And we don't mean to be inelegant, but we are violating HIPAA when we do these things. And I'm going to give a couple of examples, but we will talk about student so-and-so is not doing well in our class, right? Or in our classes, what are we going to do? And we're sharing it perhaps in hallways or in sideline conversations in faculty meetings where people can hear us very easily and very broadly. And we have to be more protective of confidential student information. And directory information is similar, falls under this category as well. Names, major, dates of attendance, degrees. Students can opt out of sharing this information, of course. Faculty responsibilities, keeping grades confidential, right? So these are not things that we just share haphazardly. We do not share with students' parents who are of age of consent without their consent, right? So if we get an email from a parent who CC'd with the student, we don't just automatically share performance, a student's performance. Oh, this light is going to be the bane of my existence, y'all. I apologize. I can't see. There we go. All right. We should be sure to use official systems for communication, meaning email, our university email, and university phones, and avoid public discussions of student performance. So a couple of examples of this: posting grades publicly. Now, this may seem like an extreme example, but sometimes faculty may print grades and post them on their office doors and say, in an attempt to be expeditious, and say, I'm going to grade on Sunday night, and first thing Monday morning, I'm going to post all the grades on my office door. Well, if you de-identify or only use student IDs, go right ahead with that, but posting with names is a no-go. Why is this a violation? Anybody want to come off mute and say why it's a violation?
Because you're letting every student know about other students' grades and other potential people who walk by your office door.
Yep. Personally identifiable information. Sorry, that PII. How to avoid this? Use secure password protected systems, use Blackboard, because you can put a lot of work into it and let it do its thing, right? Also, discussing student performance with unauthorized individuals. A staff member discusses a student's academic struggles with a parent or a spouse without the student's written consent. FERPA explicitly tells us that we cannot do this without consent, even with family members. Okay, so always verify that a signed FERPA release form is on file before discussing any information with someone, right, other than the student. And if at any time you have questions about someone, feel free to reach out to the registrar's office if you feel like, man, this is kind of a conundrum. I'm not exactly sure. This person has been consistently CC'd on emails about classroom questions or grades. This seems like a person that the student wants to be involved. What should I do? Email the registrar's office and say, I have this dilemma. Don't worry about questions being sent up to them. I think they'd rather hear from us than not, and they're very responsive. Any of you who sent questions about the midterm grades can see how quickly they returned a response to us. Okay. Were there any questions about FERPA? I have a private question to me. And then I saw, sorry, Professor Guerin, agree, and like Dr. Ha, like using Blackboard for agreed upon form that includes due dates and rubrics that we have reviewed multiple times. I also like Blackboard for the opportunity to provide lots of personalized comments on presentations and papers. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Where should we check to see if there's a signed FERPA form on file with the registrar? Yeah, great question. Professor Guerin, I would contact the registrar about that specific question. And actually, you might even direct that question to Dr. Reid today too, and see what thoughts she may have. That's an excellent question. Okay, I got a direct message, and so I was just answering that question. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Reid, and then we'll have an opportunity for open Q&A.
Hey, good afternoon. I want to apologize in advance. I'm at the airport and I'm in a kind of quiet place right this second. It was super noisy a few minutes ago. But if you want to stop sharing your slides. Okay. Hi, and one of the things and the reason I'm doing this is because I think it's super, super critical that you know the policies, procedures that the university operates under. One of my standard places, whenever I go to a new job, I read every policy, every handbook, everything I could possibly find, because it has paid dividends and for me to know things other people don't know, even though people have been there for years and years and years. So you're going to be in the 10% of the faculty who have actually read, because I'm going to give you a homework assignment. that's going to read the catalog and read the student handbook. Why is that important? Because those are the contracts that we have agreed, the students, of how we're going to operate. And so if in fact you don't know how we operate, then you're not actually doing what you need to do. And again, I apologize if you hear any extra outside noise. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen. And why I thought this was also very important was that when I was actually at the convocation and people were talking about, the catalog, and somebody said, "What catalog?" Like, oh my God, this is going to be so timely for everyone. All right, so here's the UDC website. Can everyone see it? Okay.
Yes.
This is not intuitive, so I'm very sorry that I did not design it. But if you click on these three little things, you go to academics, you go to the registrar. Okay, so you would not have known that if you don't know how to find it. Then you go to the menu and you go to course catalog. So lots of steps to get here. You want to always click on the most recent one that's here. And you see this one was last updated in January 2025. So always periodically come back because we are actually updating the catalog as we speak. Okay, I have read this catalog like 50 times. So, I have, each time I read it, I find something new and different that I didn't pick up the first time. Okay, so hopefully it'll pop up. Okay, so this is the catalog. And you need to make sure your information in the catalog is correct. So I'm going to just go through it just to kind of show some things. But actually, you're going to be starting to read on page 8 to page 45. That's going to be your homework to look at page 8 to 45. So here's all the information that is basic. And now actually some of there's some information in the table of contents that's wrong. So if you go there and it's not the right information, we're going to be correcting that very soon. But make sure this is where your names would appear and telephone numbers. Okay, this is page 8. And why is this important for you to understand? This is a disclaimer of how this catalog works for people. And as Dr. Guerin and Dr. Kinzer will know, there's some wrong information in the catalog and we're trying to correct it. But if you don't read it, you don't know that it's wrong information. Okay, so ADA, compliance, just understanding FERPA may be in there. But let's get to okay, so starting on page 13, you need to start understanding textbook information. And also we have FOLIT. FOLIT is not in the catalog. So we are talking about sometimes putting that in there so that students can, and you can understand how that actually works. I can't stress that students should be using UDC email, and you should be using your UDC email to communicate with students. I've had students use their Gmail, and sometimes it goes through and sometimes it does not. The history of the university, this mission. Okay, so here's where we get started on page 16, academic standards for undergrad. Now, I have just gone through it. And one of the things is that there's some things that are mushed together, that you have undergrad information, associate's information, you have graduate information, you have general information. So it's all over the place. I actually did a Excel spreadsheet and went through the whole catalog, and I'll be more than happy to send it to you. And I'll just show it to you at the end, that I've kind of labeled each of the highlights. So you know if it's undergrad, graduate, general, because it's all mixed. And if you don't read it, you don't know it's here. So just understand the admission standards, how people got here to us. Transfer students, and also transfer credits a part of it. International undergrad college applications, understand how the international student got to us. General information, sometimes you'll see general information and sometimes you won't. College level English, non-degree applicants. So this is the section that you're going to be reading. And then you see on page 19, we have graduate admissions. And so if you're going to be teaching any graduate students, this is just for your information to understand, how do we get graduate students? What do we require about the TOEFL, the ISLET, and Duolingo? And again, this is just for your information. Graduate transfer credits. And there's something different between concurrent credits and transfer credits as a part of that. Graduate writing proficiency. Now, we used to do the GMAT and the GRE, but starting in COVID, we actually have dismantled. We've actually not required that, the GRE or the GMAT, except for C's PhD program is the only one that's actually requiring it. And so you don't have the GRE scores to determine what was the actual writing score for the student. But English 515 is available for graduate students to actually help with their English proficiency. English 515. Okay. Graduate non-degree. Now, I would say it's critical that you read all of these sections. I'm going to go through some others. You know, this is not so important proof of qualifications, but sometimes students come to you and say, I'm having problem verifying that I'm a district resident because the district resident tuition is the lowest tuition. And they want to and they'll come to you and say, help me. And if you don't know what some of the criteria is, you can't. Now, will I expect you to memorize this? Absolutely not. But you at least be familiar when somebody says somebody said something to me and said, you know, C's require, and this is true, C's allows in their PhD program for a student with a bachelor's degree to, be admitted into their PhD program. People are like, no, that's not true. Yes, it was. It was not in the catalog, but was in their board resolution that actually initiated the program at the university. So I'm going to give you some things to read, but it just helps you to be informed. You might, I don't know, I've heard of it. I think about it. When in doubt, call me. I've read this thing so much that I can almost tell you the page number that you can find it on. Okay, so it's written kind of crazy. Refund policy. You know, this is important for students to know withdrawal week 1, 2, how much tuition they're going to get. And that's on page 22. Now, was that your responsibility? Absolutely not. But should you know what the refund policy is? Absolutely, because students are going to say, well, I want to quit in week 4. And when you say, well, there's a refund policy and then you're not going to get your full tuition, you can direct them to this catalog. The catalog is for students and faculty. This is our truth. This is what we do for you. Now, we're on page 22. You see it, academic advising. That's changed. This is all needs to be updated because the university is now going to a universal advising system for all undergrad students, not graduate students, or undergrad students. So their advisors are going to follow them from freshman all the way through senior year. And so this needs to be updated, but guess what? It hasn't been updated, and so this is the rule in which we are following. Okay. Degree checklist. The academic advisor will help the student monitor academic process using the degree checklist. Well, somebody's going to say, what checklist? No one's ever told me about a checklist. Go to DegreeWorks. Again, this has to be updated to now reflect DegreeWorks. You should be very familiar with DegreeWorks. Student orientation, career planning that's available, choosing a major. This is where you can become very fluid in helping them on page 24, helping them choose a major. If they have not chosen one, usually freshman students don't actually choose a major until their sophomore year, but some students come in knowing exactly what program they want to seek. Academic minors. They're going to come to you and talk about minors. You need to know on page 24 and 25, what is my responsibility to understanding that. Again, with academic concentration, some of the programs do have concentrations. Here's the rule that you can actually go to on page 25 to talk about what academic concentrations are. Again, if you don't read, you're going to make it up. Let me be clear. Faculty make up rules and regulations and policies, what they believe make kind of sense, but a lot of them are wrong. And so that's why we're just doing this quick review. The IGED classes, changing majors. I know I used to work in a business school, and a lot of people would say, it's just too hard. I want to change majors. Here's some information about changing majors. You know, again, you need to know that it's in the catalog to direct the student there, because they're not going to read this, and it's not in the student handbook. Okay, the Office of Career Services is available to them. Okay. The Office of the Registrar, we just talked about them several times. They are one of the record keepers of the university. Graduation requirements for bachelor's degree. Right here, time to degree completion. Most people don't even know that we have, you know, a bachelor's degree requirement that students have like 8 calendar years from the first enrollment, 120 hours depending on your particular program. And on it, when we look at residency and honors, students are very want to know about their honors. And so you'll see associate here, you'll see undergrad requirements, university honors. You know, you should be very familiar with this, because students are going to say, look, I got a 3.8, I got a 3.6. What honors am I actually credited for, or which ones can I actually get attached to my degree? Granting degrees at commencement, classification of bachelor students. Again, they should be reading this too, but and I'm going to say it has helped me tremendously when I used to teach classes, that I could direct the student to the catalog for them to get the information, because sometimes people say, go to the registrar, and I know the registrar is super busy, but this way they can at least have a good conversation. Graduate course load, associate course load, add and drop. There's a large section on military leave, so I'm going to skip to that pretty quickly. Now, there is no leave in the catalog for regular students. And we're in the process of updating the catalog to have administrative leaves for medical, mental health, and extenuating circumstances, where students can actually take leave and not withdraw totally from the university. That is not in this catalog. And so we're in the process of putting that together, because what I have found is that students, things happen. Medical issues happen, life happens, and they're in the middle of the semester and they're like, what do I do? If you haven't had the opportunity to read well, you wouldn't find it in the catalog, but we're updating it to make sure that you have it. We talked about midterm. We talked about final exams, class attendance. The class attendance should be in your syllabi. And also here is instructions for courses in your syllabi as a part of that. Academic integrity, about dishonesty, plagiarism, falsification. It's all in the catalog. Cross-registration at students at UDC Community College. Graduate student as a senior. So if the student is within 9 semester hours completing their requirements for a bachelor's degree, and they're in good academic standing, they can take up to 2 graduate courses that will be on their transcript. Now, say they want to then become a graduate student at UDC. When they take it as a senior, they'll pay the undergraduate tuition. If they have it transferred to their graduate transcript, they will then have to pay the difference between what they paid as an undergrad and what they'll pay for graduate. So there is a tuition difference. Concurrent enrollment. Students ask really important questions about this. This is not consortium. Concurrent enrollment means a UD student is taking a class at another institution, a college that is not in the consortium during fall and spring. So they may ask you that if you can just tell them, here's where the policy is, auditing classes. Here's how people get into trouble, is understanding independent study. Independent study is not an elective or a core course. Okay, it's an independent study that you and a student come together to do this. Okay, so we're getting transfer credit policy. Just kind of scroll consortium. All of you know the consortium and the universities that participate. There's a credit by exam. Some students that come to you may have had other, here's the information about taking a credit for exam, but the faculty member will definitely have to work with the student to create the exam. And here's on page 38, academic standing and performance and grading. This is, if you don't read any other ones, start reading page 38 through the end for academic studies for undergrad and for graduate. Some of this, and if you look at the codes that are here, this is for undergrad. You see A through F, grade, pass, fail, credit. But when you get to graduate, there is no D. There is no D. You see an X grade, that is only for graduate studies, for completion of a thesis or directed study. Students will ask you about the dean's list. Here's information, honors, academic probation. You should really make sure you understand and have conversations with your students on academic probation and suspension, completing a graduate degree. Our PhD programs are not included in the catalog to date, but we are going to be increasing that. Make sure you understand probation and suspension. There is no suspension in graduate education. And the rest of it is graduate IGED information. And so if you're ever wondering about which ones have, which courses are under the IGED table, show of hands, how many people have seen this table? Show of hands, how many of you have seen this table before? Two participants. Okay, that was a quick, good. All right, so your homework is to read, starting on page 8 to page 45. Don't glance through it. Actually read it. And if you find something that doesn't seem correct, just email me, mreed@udc.edu, because I'm working with Dr. Krozik to actually clean up the catalog. But you're going to be in the 10% of people who actually have read the catalog. Your next reading assignment, which I'm not going to make it as a homework, you should read the student code of conduct, the student handbook, and the student code of conduct. And you can find that not very easily on the website. But if you go to the 3 little lines and the question mark and put in student handbook, go and read it. And let me tell you why I think it's really important, because I read everything. When I first started a job, I had a position in the business school. And when I read this, don't ask me, it was in the student handbook, it told me I could get registered parking. No one knew that existed. And they're like, really? I'm like, yes, on page such and such in the student handbook, it says this. And nobody else knew about it. So what I'm telling you to do is be very informed of where you are. Now, people have been here for years and they have never looked at these documents. But as a newish and new faculty member, I want you to start off right. I want you to start your career off right. You don't have to memorize it. And I'm just going to share my screen really quickly. Let me just see if I can pull this up. I don't see it right away. Oh, it's not, I'm on my personal computer. But actually, if you ask me, I can give you a cheat sheet on where's undergrad information, where's grad. If you want that, just send me an email, mreid, and I'll send you an Excel spreadsheet sheet. It's about 180 topics that we just kind of went through, but I just have it highlighted on what page you can find for graduate students and undergrad. I'll be more than happy. I just did it, finished it last night, but it tells me how things are general information. And one of the things that all students, if this is your last semester, you need to be registered at the university at least for 1 credit hour. You don't get a free semester if you want to graduate in that semester. Don't believe some students have said, well, I don't have any more classes. But if you're planning to graduate, you need to be registered so that you can do all the registration requirement, because once you're not registered, what are you? Not a student. So they should be registered for at least 1 credit hour, unless they've totally finished and they're going to be graduating. Any questions? I did that kind of quickly, but I really cannot stress how important it is to read that to be in the know. Any questions?
Dr. Reid, can I ask you to maybe speak to, thank you first. Can I ask you to speak to why it's so important to know the code of conduct, to understand the catalog,
It's
where
very important.
where you've seen seen issues bubble up where faculty had been aware there wouldn't have been issues.
And well, okay, so if you understand the code of conduct, and I am going to have to really quickly move to another place because if my computer's getting ready to die, but I can keep talking. All right, so it's really important when students get into trouble or they have things that they're supposed to be doing that you don't really understand is code of conduct. Some students have done some things with other students, and if you don't understand that they need to understand that there is a code of conduct, then you cannot give them the information that they need to do what they need to do. So it's really important for you to know. So I'm sorry I moved to a little more noisy place. But read it, and if you have questions, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I'll actually walk through some of it. There's a 2009 academic policy that you all have no idea what it is. And we're updating that to bring everything into the catalog so you have all the rules and regulations, especially for academic standing or undergrad and graduate students.
Yeah, we just had a request for the handbook and said the link to the code of conduct was broken. I have linked the code of conduct, all the documents that Dr. Reid has spoken to are on our Blackboard Module 2 site. And so you should be able to click on them if you have any trouble with them, because I know I sometimes have difficulty with some of the links and have to repost them. Hopefully they should be live and available to you.
And I just want to say, because I've read all of this information more than 10 times at least, if you have a situation that you don't see in the catalog, you don't see in the student handbook, you don't see in the student code of conduct, call me, because we do have other documents that I can guide you. And I'll say that the example that Dr. Carter gave you at the convocation or professional development, it's not going to be in the catalog. And so I know that there's another document that deals with administrative leave for students. And again, we're going to make that hopefully this semester available to you, because students sometimes do need to take administrative leaves and not totally withdraw from the university.
Mm-hmm. I was told that Professor Beverly Bennett Roberts had her hand up, but then she took it back down, so I lost track of her.
I'm good.
Okay. Thank you for your comment in the chat. You said this would This should be revisited at least every other year during PD. Yeah. Yep. That's a great idea.
Well, and I'm telling you in advance, we're making changes. So I would say every 3 months, go check to see if it's been updated. And then if you read it, you can kind of see what has been updated. Other than that, you won't have a clue of what the new information that's in the catalog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so some of you are aware that we have a faculty development council that just started, and I'll be consulting with Dr. Reid, Dr. Krozik, Dr. Carter to ensure that we are connected around all of the updates. But we have a professional development subcommittee that we are starting with that group. And any ideas that folks have around the type of professional development offerings that we should host, we're glad to take up. But I will offer that idea to our Faculty Development Council. Thank you for that. That's a great idea. Professor Narayan, were you able to access the link successfully? Was that a thumbs up? Any other general questions, scenarios that you want to bring to the larger group? Yesterday during our dean's meeting, we have 3 dean's meetings out of the month with our chief academic officer. We shared a pilot form for students who are struggling, students who may have received an unsatisfactory midterm grade, students who are struggling with attendance, to notify your deans and department heads of these students, and an opportunity for us to intervene early. So part of this compliance piece, policy, procedure piece is, what will I say? It's a bit of a headache, right? To know all of this stuff, to dig in on all of this stuff, right? It's the unsexy part of teaching, if I may, because you just want to dig into your discipline. You want to engage with your students and teach your stuff, do your thing in the classroom. And so sitting and reading all these pages, doing the homework that Dr. Reid has assigned, which I think is valuable and important homework. We should know the code of conduct. We should know the catalog, right? And so while these pieces are the more boring nuts and bolts aspect of the work that we do as faculty members, it is really important to understand it as foundational to supporting student success. And one of the discussions that we had yesterday with this pilot form, which you hopefully you never see, because you don't have to give out any D's, F's, or withdrawals at the end of it all, right? That means your students are all successful. When I was in the classroom, whenever I had an exam or a difficult assignment that I was sending my students off with, I would write on the board, "You will do well," because I wanted everybody to do well. I'm not the type of educator that I'm like, there has to be a bell curve and all of that. That's not my pedagogical philosophy. So we all hope that our students do well. However, we know that our mission is to support students who historically have not had access to higher education, those who have been marginalized, who perhaps have struggled in their educational journeys. And so when we understand this policy, hopefully we can look at the ways in which we can best support our students, that we can intervene as early as we can. If we're staying on top of our grade books, if we're entering those midterm grades, then we can take a look at, hey, what are our students' needs, the students that are afar from center, right? How do we pull them back in so that they can be successful? So while these things may be minutia at times or feel like they are the nuts and bolts, again, like I said, they are really central to student success. Go ahead, Dr. Reid. You don't have to raise your hand. You just jump on in.
No, no, no. I'm a rule follower. And okay, we used to have something called First Alert, and it is in the catalog. I skipped through it. We may want to see if First Alert is still available through student success so that you can actually put students on a list. The advisors will reach out to them and they will be monitored to make sure that they do not fall through the cracks. Because it's called First Alert, and there's a little paperwork that you have to do to make sure the student's being followed, but it pays dividend so students do not fall through the cracks.
That's right. That's right. Are there any questions that you have right now? Thank you for letting me know it's available. Are there any questions that you all have right now? Any student issues that you are struggling with that you could use some support with?
I just want to say, Doctor, and I just lost your name, had put in a First Alert. Do you want to take yourself off mute?
That's Dr. Baxter.
Dr. Baxter, do you want to take your, just to say how that process
Sure.
worked for you?
Sure. Yes, it was pretty straightforward. Wallace Baxter, I'm in the English department at the community college. And basically, I was able to go in and with one student in particular who just had not shown up consistently at all. And so I knew that meant, essays weren't getting turned in-class writings weren't being done, all that stuff. And, at this point in the semester, even though it's early, that's a lot of zeros. And so I double checked and saw, well, the student had submitted something. So I was like, okay, clearly they're trying to be here, but for whatever reason, they're not doing the work. And so I went in the system. It was simply just clicked on a parrot or whatever to say why I was submitting the alert. And the reason was excessive absences more than anything else. And I just put a note in there saying, because of these absences, the student has missed about 4 in-class writing assignments, in addition to the outside assignments. And then sent it through and got the, response that they received, and they would be reaching out to the student and stuff. So it's seamless, easy process.
Thank you for sharing your experience with that. I'm glad you were able to do that. Are all of you aware of the faculty advisors that are assigned to the student advisors who are assigned to your areas? Professor Gehring, please go ahead.
I was just raising my hand, Dr. Johnson, to let you know I'm aware of our advisor.
You know who your advisors are.
Yes,
Okay,
and we've met already and will continue to. Thank you.
good. Okay, and Dr. Butler, you don't know? Anybody not know who their advisors are to their students in their in their discipline?
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm pretty new to UDC. I've started in August of this year. So thank you. There's a lot that I don't know. I've just been so focused on trying to get my kiddos to where I need them to be, especially because it's, towards the end of week 6. So I haven't really paid attention to a lot of things that I know I should. I mean, of course, I'm still meeting deadlines, but as far as like academic advisors, I'm not sure I don't even know if my students know who their advisors are. And yeah, I'm just so busy giving them feedback that I'm not even thinking about all the other things that come with, being a professor.
No, that's fair. That's fair. So we have a professional advising model at UDC that has just begun, and advising is by discipline. And so I can send you your lists. And in fact, I will post them on Blackboard. I'm making a note for myself. Okay. And what should be happening soon, actually very, very soon, is you will be getting your dance card should be getting filled up with invitations to meet the academic advisors that are assigned to your discipline. So you get to know who that person is by face. And I think there probably should be a virtual component available for that if it happens to be on a day that you are not on your respective campus. But, oh, Beverly, Human Development introduced the advisor to the students at our Meet of the Majors session 2 weeks ago. That's excellent. Yeah. So I know they're making their way around the institution. So you at least, even if you feel like, hey, there's something going on with the student, I'm not exactly sure how to proceed. You can do that early alert and you can follow up with an academic advisor. Also, you don't even have to know who your advisor is for your particular discipline. You can contact one of those advisors and they can do the rest. They can say, oh, what's your area? And connect you to that person. One of my very good colleagues who I used to work with at Georgetown is now an academic advisor here at UDC. And she's like, yeah, if the faculty member doesn't know who their exact person is for the students in their discipline, just send them to any of us and we'll make those connections. Go ahead, Dr. Reid.
Also, if you are using Navigate, you can go in and send alerts to and emails to your students through Navigate, or you can send information to the whole class through Navigate so that you will be, if you want to give them some kind of notification. So
that's great advice. Great advice. So I sent you a quiz, that quiz in my follow-up email after you registered. That quiz came from our Associate Chief Academic Officer for the Student Experience, Dr. Maisha Carter. We were hoping that she would be able to also attend this session, but she had a conference conflict where she was presenting, so she wasn't able to be with us. But she created that quiz because she wants to know and gauge your level of understanding of student needs. And she's going to create an FAQ based on your performance on that quiz. So please, if you haven't filled it out, fill it out. You can go back. I haven't closed it, so I know I put a deadline on there. It is not closed. Professor Stennis, you got time to fill it out. And if you could do that, and she's also going to come and be with us probably for module 3. Okay. If there are no other questions, I just want to thank you for being with us and remind you that our next session will be in person. Location will likely, I think we have reserved Windows Lounge. I've reserved a lot of places and spaces recently, so I had to pause to say that, on February 5th, 2026. However, when I was talking with Dr. Massey earlier today, she was suggesting that I choose a time to make myself available to all of you to check in about how things are going for the first semester for all of you. And so I'm going to check in with you. I'm just going to host a virtual office hour of sorts, and I will send an email about that time. And I won't have you register or anything like that. I will just treat the hours like a parking lot. I will be here. And if you want, you can come to my office and check in. And I'll probably just be up if folks are familiar with the 7th floor, we have this big boardroom space, and I'll just be parking it up here. And you can come and sit with me, or you can hop on virtually. And any questions that you have about wrapping up things for the semester, I will be glad to answer them. And you can also set up time to meet with me. I met with 3 folks after our Module 1 session, and it was just a pleasure to meet with you all. I have run into several people on campus since our first session and had really great impromptu conversations with you all. I've attended a conference hosted by one of our new faculty academy members, Professor Bethany Monet, last week, Thursday, community-based research, which was really phenomenal. Just want to big her up there. She's doing really great work. And yeah, it's just a pleasure to be with you all and doing this work. I can't believe that December will be a year. It's really blinked by. I have something on the stove cooking, which I hope I'll be able to announce when I have my parking lot in December. So, rubbing my hands together on that one. I'm really excited about it and looking forward to being able to announce that once it clears procurement. Um, so we know that can take some time at UDC, but hopefully good things are on the horizon. Oh, my UDC. Oh, yes. Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay. All right. Any burning questions or not burning? Oh, thank you, Dr. Clark. Are you a Trekkie? Where are you at? I don't see you. Okay. We'll have a wonderful rest of the week. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You don't have to wait till February. All right. And please, if you haven't already, take your quizzes along the way. Things will be posted synchronously. Oh, I do owe you all the picture. Our group picture, I have to post that. I posted everything else. It took an act of Congress to get the panel that I recorded posted onto Blackboard. I had to turn it into a video on something else and post it on YouTube, and then get it onto Blackboard. But it's finally up there. So thank you all. Feel free to come off mute. If you have a question, I'll stick around for a couple minutes.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Very informative.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
move somebody to the waiting room in a second.
Oh, I love you for that. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here the whole time.
Of course. Of course. I was like, you know what, Castro? To the waiting room, to the Capitol.
Off to the waiting room you go. Oh my gosh.
That was great.
Thank
That was
you.
really good. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I literally was like, I wish there was something for my stakeholder like line in terms of just like, hey, this is a safe space. Ask your questions. Hey, there's these policies. We know that they came in place before you got here. You probably know what we're talking about. Let's get you caught up. It is such a necessary, and if I was a new faculty, I would be like, do y'all have this? Do you have this space to be able to figure it out? Because I know I'm supposed to have it figured out because I'm here now, but I was like, oh my God, this is so nice. This is great. Oh my gosh, can we have a new? No, never mind. I don't qualify. Never mind.
New staff academy.
Yeah, never mind. That just sounds like a task. Never mind.
Girl, they'd be making y'all do stuff as opposed to be recipients of
Right. I was like, oh my gosh, such important information. Like,
oh wait, did we stop recording?
Oh,
I'll have to edit now.